It's a legitimate classic at this point. It really is. Actually rated as the best EP single ever made. Yeah, it's on the rating site there. Not that that means a whole lot, really, but certainly indicates its status. It's become legendary. I first saw it live in Ottawa at the Babylon Club on the Slow Riot Tour in 1999. I was actually still a few months underage. I had to bring my dad with me to get in. He did enjoy it. He's a Crimson fan, and kind of interpreted it that way, which is maybe not the best way to interpret it. I remember him saying something along the lines that it was pretty good, but it wasn't technical enough for him. I think that he liked the idea, but maybe found the execution a little bit plodding. I listen to it now because Hillary Clinton has been working the accusation that Trump thinks the United States is a third world country into her stump speeches. She's saying it every day, a few times a day. If you're familiar with the tracking of the line, America is a third world country. And I think it's pretty sad that people can't recognize that their own country is a third world, third rate, third class slum. Now, again, let's remember that this is the top-rated EP. Now, you can agree with him or not, but this is pretty embedded in the minds of a lot of people. This is a generational piece of art. It's important. Yeah, it's a couple of anarchists from Montreal, but it's like if you're under 50, and you're at all artistically inclined, chances are that you have heard this, and so you've at least had to address the question of whether you think the United States is a third world country or not. It's not crazy rhetoric. And by approaching it as outlandish rhetoric, you're making yourself seem out of touch. Okay? A lot of people have been talking like that for a long time. It's not out of the spectrum. Rather, it's the candidates that we have that are outside the spectrum. Like I say, you can agree with them or not. Okay? The third world is defined by tremendous wealth inequality. That's what defines it, right? Literally, which was the result of enforced market theory from the outside. So, for example, we can talk about how India was the most wealthy country in the world or region anyways. It wasn't really one country, but it was a region for quite a while before the British got there and enforced they told them that you're gonna buy our stuff, and we're gonna compete about it, and they put this system down, and the result was mass poverty. Not just in India, but through a lot of places. Markets bring poverty with them everywhere they go, and it's just a lot of lies and nonsense to suggest otherwise. Neither and the places that claim to be capitalist were not. Neither the United States nor Europe had ever truly been a market economy until the last 30 years or so, because they looked and they said, "Geez, this works great. We have massive separations between rich and poor here. It worked great in the colonies. Let's bring it back home." People have this backwards, right? They think that we're exporting capitalism to them. No, we're importing capitalism. We force it on them. The capitalist classes, the ruling classes, saw how well it worked in siphoning wealth upwards, and they said, "Let's do it here too." And they had to dismantle everything, just like they had dismantled it overseas. that's a part of the process of colonialism, is opening up markets outside the home country, right? That's what colonialism is, really. Colonialism is the idea that, we're the empire, we're going to make it, and you're the subjects, you're going to buy it. That's what colonialism was, right? So you have this relationship growing in India. They tried to push it in China. The Chinese were more successful in pushing back, but largely, it was, you had the whole gunboat diplomacy with the Opium Wars and everything. In the end, the bastards got their way, but the Chinese certainly pushed back harder. In Africa and South America, it's not just a part of it, it's what it is, right? So it therefore shouldn't be so much of a shock to see North America approximate third world conditions when it adopts third world or market economics. There's no logical conclusion other than that America must become a third world when it goes through the whole Reaganomics program. That's what Reaganomics is for. That's what it does. When you applied it elsewhere, it created third world conditions, and that was on purpose. So when you apply it here, what would you expect? Why would you expect something different? The third world is a consequence of neoliberalism, so applying neoliberalism to the first world will create third world conditions. There's nothing more rational, there's nothing more logical. In fact, it's tautological, okay? I'm not deducing anything, I'm just stating definitions. But that's secondary, okay? More to the point, what I'm trying to get across with this is that the guy that you're hearing in the song, the band also samples him on their first record. He's a Trump voter, okay? You might say he sounds a little like Bernie Sanders or anything, but he's got guns, he prays, this guy's Trump's demographic, right? It's clear as day. It was recorded in the 90s, but what you hear in this track is what is fueling things forwards. That is what a Trump supporter sounds like. And if you know the song well, it should kind of click in your head. Maybe if you don't know it, then listening to the track will clarify why Hillary's response of attacking him for a lack of patriotism is something roughly equivalent to let them eat cake. This isn't trivial. Okay, this is what art is. This is what art does. This is why art is important. And you ignore it at your own peril. And at the peril of others. It's the kind of thing... I know I'm just focusing on a small aspect of a big speech. But I'm focusing on the parts that I think are the most important. And it's that kind of mentality. This, some people might want to call it presidential. I think that's an abuse of language, to say the least. But this desire by Hillary to separate herself. How can I put this? Okay. I think Hillary has a very good understanding of what think tanks tell her, right? Of, the insider talk at Washington. The talk in between the generals and all these sorts of things. I think that Hillary is, very well versed in it. She's quite informed. She knows what the issues are. She knows what side she needs to take in order to be influenced. Very clued in. It's great. But when it comes to understanding what people think, she doesn't have the slightest idea. And this is a great example of it. There's some problems out there. Some people that are hurting. You know? To suggest that drawing attention to that is unpatriotic, it's Fox News logic, right? And if she keeps doing these kinds of things, then that is how people are going to interpret it. Okay, it doesn't matter who said it, doesn't matter if anybody said it. Okay, in the end, she might not say it, but that doesn't mean she won't be remembered for saying it. And it's frustrating to watch it unfold, okay? But I'm sorry. It's becoming more and more apparent that if Sanders does not win, then this stiff, robotic candidate that we call Hillary Clinton will run into a brick wall of empathy, or a lack thereof it. And it's not going to be the Republican Party that's seen, as the, party of big money. It's just to hurt people, okay? It's going to be Clinton and the Democrats. It's seen that way. Well, they might both be seen that way. But her more so. And her inability to connect to people will hand Trump the win. Again, I know this is a small part of the big speech, but it's, I think, very important and very predictive.